I wanted this first video of Modern Rapport to reflect something that I myself struggled quite a lot with. Now, this exercise is called the 3 mirrors. And knowing how valuable your time is and how much YouTube you have left to watch, I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about. Picture you have a typical day and you've scheduled 3 calls back to back. Just imagine they're all set at the same standard and you're moving into these with optimism, not anything else. Now, your first phone call picks up the phone and they do everything that you would expect an amazing client to do. You have a bit of rapport with them, you bounce back and forth, you explain to them the next steps, you handball them off to somebody else in admin. Whatever your process is, they tick every single box that you would expect a client to tick when they're ready to take on your solution. On the back end of that phone call, how does that make you feel? How are you going to feel about somebody doing everything that you would want them to do in a sales environment? You're gonna feel pretty great, right? You're gonna be up here. You're gonna have this dopamine dump of, I feel on top of the world, I'm an amazing salesman. Naturally, without even really wanting to, you're gonna move that energy from one call into the next. Now, your next call isn't a bad call, but it's not a good call either. It's a neutral call. You've set the same parameters as you have this previous client. They stonewall you. They give you no objections. They give you no aim or anything to handle, no questions to answer, nothing to work through. They just block you out like you don't exist. You've got a very, very positive call and then somewhat of a neutral phone call straight after it. What happens to your energy at that point? You don't have somewhat of an emotional dump. You have a lack of emotion. You don't have a positive or a negative. You don't have anything to reflect on. You can't hyperanalyze after the phone call. You've gone from being up here on top of the world to being a little bit lower. Now, your third phone call of the day is the absolute worst that you could have imagined. They're swearing at you over the phone. They're calling you a shit salesman. They're fucking cursing you out, saying that you should never call them again. You've gone from this dopamine dump of being the best person, the best thing since sliced bread, hit the neutrality wall with somebody that you thought was a buyer, and now you have the most negative person in your life that's gotten on the phone and decided you're their target for all their aggression. You're gonna feel pretty crap. But you feel something different having been through that process. Whether it's a positive into a negative call, whether it's a negative into a positive, a neutral into a positive, whatever it might be, the carryover that you have emotionally on these phone calls is so detrimental to your sales process overall. And it will be the difference between you shining in this environment and doing incredible things with yourself, or falling off the bandwagon, burning yourself out and dying to pressure. And we've all seen how that affects people. Now, any good salesman is going to spend time trying to figure out the best way through this problem. I worked at a high volume call center that was not sales based. It was customer service focused. At the end of every phone call, the Pure Cloud system, the automated phone system, had what's called a wrap up built into it. And it stuck with me for quite a while. You get about 5 or 10 seconds to just breathe. And when I was thinking of ways to respond to this emotional carryover, that's the one expression that I came up with. The wrap-up can be as detailed as you want it to be, but it needs to exist on almost every call that you have. Now, this might be to the detriment of someone who's so used to going higher volume back to back for hours at a time, but you need to understand that there's a reason why people burn out. And there's also a reason why the top performers in your environment always look so damn calm. Because they're willing to reset after a shitty call. They're willing to take the time, even if it compromises a couple sales, to bring themselves back to some semblance of a baseline from wherever they are, whether it's over the moon positive or down to the earth negative, whatever it might be. I've gone as far as to suggest to people to have some sort of call journal, not with any personal information like names or account numbers or whatever it might be. Day, some semblance of time, how you felt, what you could do on that call, a review, a breathe, keep going. Having those wrap-up resets on your phone calls after going through this emotional carryover, the results that you get from this long-term are incredible. You'll become more calm when these calls arise. You'll start handling objections in a slightly different way. It is the most powerful doctrine that I can offer you in the very early stages of a career. And for people that have been in sales for an extended period of time as well, having someone identify this, you might have a light bulb moment where you go, maybe this is why I get so stressed at work. But at the end of the day, I would encourage you to create some sort of process for yourself that doesn't involve caffeine or nicotine, because otherwise you're stripping the humanity out of these calls. Now, in most of the environments that you're in most of the industries and niches that I'd like to target with this sort of video, there is a level of humanity. If there wasn't a level of relationship building or humanity or emotion built into your industry or your niche, regardless of what it is, then your entire business model and your entire company would be a shopping cart and an add to cart button, and that would be it. There is a reason why your company and your product and your industry is poised in a way that has you on the phone talking to people. Because the humanity that you include yourself in when you build these relationships and when you highlight these emotions is more powerful than any 50% off a deal that you're going to find online. This is the sort of stuff that changes people. Sales and commission and everything else in regards to what it can offer you and what it can fuel your life with is unlimited. And I might be speaking a bunch of garbage to someone who already knows exactly what they're doing and exactly what they need to do to get better. But if I can offer you any advice from someone who's spent such a long period of time being hypercritical, being emotionally carried over day in, day out, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, or whatever the calculation is with public holidays, it's this. Modern Rapport is built on this structure of building people and not scripts. I'm never going to be someone that encourages you to go back to the drawing board, write out a whole script to replace part of it and hope for the best, because it removes the humanity from what we're doing. It takes away all of this relationship building and this emotion. If you're feeling that emotional carryover, if you're feeling these periods and these points where you're losing part of yourself along the way, just know that you're not alone, and know that this sort of stuff is very natural, and that you will process this stuff in your own time, in your own way, so that when you need to wrap up, when you need to reset after that stress, you've got those tools available. I have no doubt that you've got the potential to be able to exceed your wildest expectations. I have no doubt about that. Everyone has that power. It's not something that you're born with. There's no natural born salespeople. That's not a thing. It's not something that you have dormant in your brain like the Super Saiyan gene for Goku that he just wakes up out of nowhere. This stuff can be taught. And that's what we aim to do at Modern Rapport. Emotional carryover is a thing. Think of the 3 mirrors. Think of this process. Create a wrap up for yourself. Do everything you can to hone in those emotions that you have. Because at the end of the day, if you make all of this money, all this commission, and you lose your emotions and your humanity along the way, what sort of life are you left to lead? Hi, my name is Nick, founder of Modern Rapport, and let me tell you something, these videos are terrifying to make, but thanks for looking at the end of it. Thanks for spending time with me to go over this stuff. If you've learned anything or you want to hone your skills, you want to drop any comments, please be a part of this community that we're building. We're going to drop every week. We're going to spend time going through all of these little analytical process points that I see so much stress with in people's lives. And if you can take one part away from what I'm doing and what I'm saying, that's going to help improve your day-to-day and give you a better quality of life, then I've done my job. We're going to post these every week. It's going to be phenomenal. I'm really keen to grow this community out. This has been a long time coming. Stay tuned, hit the button to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.